Hey everyone, it's Jeff from Programmer vs. World, and today at Explain Me a Concept in Under 3 Minutes, we're going to try to tackle enumerations. The odds are you're probably going to work in a place one day in which you're going to have to build an application in which people are going to fill out some stuff and save it. And then once they save it, it's going to go through these series of states, right? Let's say that when they first create one, it's an open. Until someone approves it, it's in pending status. Once someone approves it, it's in approved. And once it's closed, it's in closed. And you're going to write all this code, and you're going to make all these things to say, well, if it's in pending, then do this. If it's in closed, then do this. And then it's going to go into production. And a few weeks after it goes into production, someone's going to have a problem with the word pending. They always do. And they're going to want to change it to awaiting approval. Let's say they want to change it to awaiting approval. And other than thoroughly jacking up all your combo boxes where these things ever appeared in your app, you're going to have to go back through and now find all the places where you saved it and all the places in the code base where it was explicitly being referenced, that string was being referenced, and change it to awaiting approval. And it's going to be a nightmare. And then you got spelling that you got to worry about and everything else. So enumerations are a way that we could take those states, for instance, and we could represent them as integral numbers, right? We could say that when it was first opened, it was a 0. While it's pending, it's a 1. While it's approved, it's a 2. And when it's closed, it's a 3. And then in all of our code, we can just use those values. Now, we won't use the numbers directly. Even though we could, we won't use the numbers directly. Instead, we'll use the enumeration to do the job. And what that allows us to do is all the places that we saved it and all the places in our code are now relying off the integral value and not necessarily the name, which means the name is sort of unimportant now. If he decides later he wants to change it to awaiting approval, we'll just change the enumeration value or just the thing on the screen to awaiting approval and leave our enumeration as pending. Or if it's really important to have that sort of consistency across the code, then we could just refactor it. Then it's a heck of a lot easier to do that than it is to find random strings saved all over the place. But the good news is in the places where our form is actually saved, it'll just be the number 2, 3, 1. That's what will be saved. We don't have to touch any of that information. It just allows us to enumerate a list of possible values and use the integral value as the actual thing that we're using and not worry so much about the name. Another place it showed up a lot was in the old days. We used to have these old kooky systems that, and bandwidth was limited, right? So they would send us a byte. And inside the byte, each bit inside of it would mean something. They would say, okay, if the bit in the 1's position is on, then that means the lights on the exterior are on. If the 2's position is on, that means the generator's running. If the 3's on, you could tell I worked a lot in telemetry when I was younger, right? So each one of those bits can actually be represented in enumeration too, a special kind that we call a bit flag or a flags enumeration. And it allows us to, in our code, once again, to use the enumerated value to represent what it is that we want to talk about. In the end, it's the number that matters and not the name. Anyway, yeah, so I'm Jeff, and I probably went over time all right. I can't check once again. I need a big clock in here somewhere. Maybe I'll do that instead of doing it in post. But anyway, I'm Jeff, and that was Explain Enumerations to me in under 3 minutes, and we'll see you on the next episode. I'm out of here.